start?
Yes, sir.
The death penalty is a process in which a person who commits a heinous crime is put to death by a state. Before, it was used to set an example and to serve justice to the public. However, nowadays, it's not really efficient because it fails to deter crime, it costs too much, and it's just unreliable. Firstly, the death penalty fails to discourage crimes, as proven by several surveys and studies. A survey conducted in 2008 by Professor Michael Radelet, the chair of the Department of Sociology in Colorado, and an undergraduate by the name of Tracy Lecoq, they found that based on empirical evidence, which means observation or experience-based evidence, preeminent criminologists believe that the death penalty does not affect the crime rates. Of the 79 surveyed, 88.2 polled do not believe that the death penalty to be a deterrent, which was higher than in 1996 by 4.6%. Criminology professors at the University of Texas, Tomislav V. Kalvenzik, Lynn M. Vieretis, and Denise Paquette-Boots published a study in 2009 in the Journal of Criminology and Public Policy, concluding that our finding of no deterrent effect of the death penalty on homicide suggests the risk of execution does not enhance the level of deterrence. Secondly, the cost of the death penalty is far too expensive. A study conducted in 2011 by the U.S. Court of Appeals, Judge Arthur L. Alarcon and Professor Paula M. Mitchell of Loyola Law School found that death row prisoners add $184 million annually to the California budget, and that the death penalty prosecution costs up to 20 times that of a life without parole case. Since it was reinstated in 1978, the California taxpayers have spent a total of $4 billion on it. And also in another study conducted in 2012 by Dr. Terrence Smith of the Department of Criminal Justice at the University of Nevada, it was found that defending the average capital murder case in Clark County costs $229,800 for a public defender, or $287,250 for appointed counsel. The additional cost of capital murder cases was $170,000 to $212,000 per case compared to the cost of a non-capital murder case. It was also found that cases that resulted in a death sentence that concluded between 2009 and 2011 took an average of 1,107 days to go from initial filing to sentencing, compared to a life parole case which took an average of 887 days. Meaning that money and time is being spent on this. It's not really efficient spending when you go to things like public education. And lastly, the death penalty is not always reliable. Matthew Robinson, a professor of government and justice studies at the Appalachian State University, included in his analysis that there is literally no doubt that people from North Carolina's death row since included in his analysis that there is literally no doubt that people are wrongly convicted of capital murder in North Carolina. For example, 7 people have been freed from North Carolina's death row since 1973. 6 of the 7 were wrongly convicted after the death penalty was reinstated in 1977, and thus were convicted under the current North Carolina death penalty statute. More specifically, 5 men were wrongly convicted between 1993 and 1997, and ultimately exonerated between 1999 and 2008. Another person by the name of Cookie Rodolphe, founder of the Northern California Innocence Project, said that in a study of California cases, her organization reported from 1997 to 2009, courts found 707 instances of prosecutorial misconduct, meaning that it is completely possible that prosecutors could easily manipulate evidence, or they might just make a mistake. It's not really reliable. And to conclude, I believe that the death penalty is insufficient because it fails to deter crime, it keeps costs far too high, and it is unreliable.
All right, Stephen, your proposition is in the opening of the speech, but it's not distinguishable from a lot of the introductory stuff that you have. I wasn't sure that it was your proposition until I heard immediately after it the supporting points. So I knew, oh, well, that's the preview, so whatever came before that, that must have been the proposition. Now, at the end of the speech, I thought you did a better job kind of summarizing and reminding us what the point was. So you kind of rescue yourself a little bit there. I think you wanted it to be clearer at the beginning of the speech. It's structured very clearly. You've got 3 different ways that you're going to prove that this is inefficient or problematic in some way, and you lay those out for us in a straightforward manner. You start in immediately with a variety of evidence. You're consistent about citing the sources of the evidence. You usually provide qualifications. Most of the time, the evidence is understandable and it advances the point of view that you are suggesting. It was a little unclear on the last information about this group in Northern California, how they compiled their data and why we should be listening to them. Other people were qualified a little bit more, but this, this person's an advocate for this particular group. I need to know a little bit more about that one group, but that was a minor quibble. For the most part, you did a very good job on citing the information. I think the generalizations are pretty solid on the issue of cost issues. Although I'm sure that there are some counterclaims that will be presented by the respondent on cost issues concerning whether or not there's any benefit. The first point on deterrence, there may in fact need to be a little bit more development here. It seems like you're relying on the consensus of the studies in order to reach a conclusion, and that's basically saying, well, we're going to, we've looked at 8 out of 10 people who've studied this say it doesn't deter. Is there anything wrong with the 2 people who did say it deters, or why are these people more believable? That sort of thing. We're going to need some comparative argument on that. All right, thank you. And then you did kind of step on your ending by saying the end. I like the way you got to the end until you said that. All right.